It's been
Yeah.
shown, and I'm like, yay. But I'm like, huh.
Technically,
It's
they
weird
haven't.
that they not show that, but then like show like, oh, you need me?
All right. He's got to go. I'm going to solo commentate for a little while. No Crimson Chin on screen this time, but we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. That's a great tag.
It is a really good tag, and
That was actually such a good game growing up, too.
they just like released a remaster or something, right?
Yeah, press 1 in chat if you grew up with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. It's a great game. But we've got Goobs. He's, well, to be honest, I don't really know either of these players, but I have to imagine that this matchup is probably not that bad for Doc. I know that Mario does pretty well against Ness, and while obviously Doc is going to be significantly more exploitable off stage, he might be able to compensate for that with significantly more oomph, especially with his combo breakers, which seem particularly useful against Ness. But he's somewhat limited in his ability to leverage that if he's not going to be able to get in, which is hard with Ness's disjoints and better mobility.
So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, his old tag was Rocketeer. And Rocketeer used to be a Little Mac. I don't know who else he played.
He was the best Mac in the state for a while, right?
Yeah. I think he beat Jonasley at one point. I think he beat Stain at one point, you know.
I don't blame him for switching. The Mac life is a tragic one.
Yeah, but switching to Doc is a
Yeah. It's like,
a step sideways, per se.
Not even Shakespeare could make me cry like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so far, looking like kind of getting washed.
Yeah, he's just having a really hard time winning neutral. Like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of hard for Doc to just win neutral against a character that has better mobility and better hitboxes. If Goobs is willing to leverage that and take his time in neutral, then Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, I'm going to say that every single time, just has to take so many more risks in neutral just to get a single hit that might not even necessarily confirm into anything. Goobs just has to stay patient, continue to leverage that advantage, and he's going to be able to just hold that lead, probably.
Yeah, even like the outer shield options here, like Ness will just jump around Dr. Mario, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater doesn't take up like any space. Like you saw like in that standstill situation, he was like, oh, F tilt. Didn't cover anything, you know? But there's a grab, finally. Getting the landing tomahawk, but...
Yeah, he needed to press that a little bit further if he wanted to really make a dent in this, because right now he can probably lose neutral like two more times, maybe once.
Like a back air off stage against Doc is pretty bad too, because you know Ness has some edge guarding, but so far sort of just baiting Goobs towards him. Goobs getting a little thirsty for the kill, and you don't need to take up space if your opponent's coming to you. Oh,
No, that's not it. Yeah, he needs to basically zero death him once he gets this next hit, because he just dies to basically everything. Yeah, now he dies to actually like everything that's decently powerful, pretty much.
And grab, which...
Yeah, that's it. I respect the attempt. The thing is, that's not even a bad call, even though it didn't work out. That's just one of those hindsight 2020 things. But it's better to make the kind of plays you need to win the game than to refrain and then just continue losing neutral in a matchup where you're going to be losing neutral anyway. You have to make those kinds of decisions when you're in those positions if you lose neutral. So good on him to at least go for it. Because some people will just get scared and not go for things when they should be. And obviously in something where neutral is as abstract as, you know, Smash can be, you're going to end up in situations where you make good calls but they don't work out anyway. That's just part of what comes with the platform fighter genre as a whole. Makes it really interesting. Things aren't necessarily set in stone in so many situations. Although the Terry counterbreak, I have to imagine that's going to be a lot better for him. I wouldn't know what this matchup's like on paper, but I have to imagine it's better than the Doc one.
for sure.
Maybe even-ish? I feel like at the very least, Terry's got better hitboxes to contend with a lot of Ness's neutral, especially that mobility too. You've got great burst options and good kill confirms as well. I have to imagine that Goobs is going to have to be really smart with a lot of his edge guarding. Just give Terry as few opportunities as possible to really exert that offstage advantage. And one nice thing about Ness's offstage in particular is that you very rarely have to take particularly big risks in order to get those hits. It didn't even matter. He just shut me up immediately.
What a confirm.
This damage output is so good. Terror with Go is one of the better characters in the game. Just imagine how nuts this character would be if you had that all the time. I suppose that's what balances him, right? Yeah, Goobs is playing neutral way differently than he was in the last game. It looks like he's pushing in a lot more than he needs to. And it's been costing him a lot of damage. Although Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 made a bit of an error there. He got a little greedy with advancing with an aerial. Goobs just sat there and shielded the whole time, so he was just ready to cover that too. Love the idea on trying to meteor him through the platform into up smash. Most people aren't going to be ready to tech in that situation, but props on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Yes, I'm going to say that every single time for having the presence of mind to do that anyway. Saved him not only extra damage, but potentially getting juggled further as well. That's when he gets you in those. That's when he gets you above you, especially at higher percents, is just horrifying. Yep, he's fishing for these Buster Wolf confirms. And honestly, that's not even necessarily a bad thing to be so blatantly fishing for something. Blatant fishing can be a way of just getting simpler conditioning. One of the things that keeps a lot of people from conditioning more effectively is trying to overcomplicate things instead of just representing an option and then just making sure that your opponent has to realize that you are going for something in particular. Even if you're not actually going for it, but just making it look like you are. There's value in being obvious with something so that you can make them, you can effectively shift your opponent into one very particular frame of mind. Oh, I thought he was going to get an auto turnaround tilts into Power Geyser. It didn't quite matter there, though. That's not quite it, but realistically, he's one more like decent hit away. Yep, as I say that, good read on, not quite a read, it looks like a reaction on the drifting back forward air. Once Goobs committed to that, he kind of had to bank on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 being willing to push advantage just a little bit more. And he did the smart thing there, just took his time, didn't press forward when he didn't need to, especially with that lead. And then when Goobs opened himself up, just use that burst range, secure the game.
Yeah, I think the switch to Terry was invaluable
for sure.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
He needed much greater burst range options because right now, Doc just has such a hard time getting in. He's actually got pretty solid frame data, but his movement and range makes it pretty difficult to get in if you're willing to take your time.
Back.
You just have to focus you have to be very specifically focused on stage control. And oh my God.
Yeah.
Why? I'm trying to comprehend why you would do this.
Because he's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and
Fair.
he's here for the style.
Oh my God.
Insane!
He's a genius.
That, of course, is only something Dr. Mario
Ever
can
heard
do.
of, I believe it's called, God, what's the term? All of a sudden I had a brain fart and now it's killing me inside. It's, God, this is driving me crazy. And whatever, it's like it's a way of making your opponent make bad decisions under duress. I cannot remember the terminology, but whatever.
No
Anyway, we'll just have to leave that behind. Goobs has got to make a massive comeback because the Doc is schmoving. Even if, we'll just give him the credit for that SD.
Yeah, no, it was him. I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 must have just found something that he knew he could exploit.
Yeah, right now.
It's working so far.
He's effectively reading a lot of his landing options as well and just racking up more damage. Because he's not won neutral that many more times than Goobs. He's just making his openings count. Something that was a real problem for him in game one. Maybe he switched to Dog because he figured out how Goobs is going to behave every time he hit him, which is just leading to all these extra hits. He's getting all this extra credit on everything. Nice raw grab there as well. Goobs is representing a lot of empty movement. I guess just trying to wait for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 to throw out some obvious aerial neutral that he could whiff punish. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 just refused to give it to him. read the movement and called it out with grab. He's keeping this respectable with only being down a stock in 19%, but he's got to make some big things happen.
Yeah, but against an extremely gimpable Dr. Mario, definitely not out.
Now he's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. He's living up to his name, living up to his legendary name right now. You love to see it. Banger gameplay.
That's who I want as the next fighter, Tony Hawk.
I mean, he's in a video game. Although, if you use that logic, you kind of open a Pandora's box where suddenly a lot of things can become possible.
It's true.
Like Norman Reedus could be in the game at this point.
Oh, I did not know how that interaction was
You
going to
could
turn
put
out.
Johnny Silverhand, literally have Keanu Reeves in Smash.
I'd be down.
I would unironically be down for that. The game itself might be a bit buggy, but the soundtrack is amazing.
Oh, that was almost it.
I mean, he's mostly brought this back. He just can't get hit by anything. And every little hit at this point needs to just count so much. Oh, one more? Dude, Goobs is he going to reverse 3-stock? Is this it? Oh my god. Oh my god. This is so close. All of a sudden, the mistech of all mistechs. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Clutched it out. Good stuff. That was a much better set than I expected from the first game.